it's Glad Town time. So
Hello.
we're excited about it. Let's all wave to everybody. There you go. This is a happy moment. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And I'm really excited today because we've had a lot of testimonies come forward. And we've got our reporter, Lisa. You can wave. Yes, Lisa. Already report those great testimonies. And we got our guest, Kim. Kim is up there, yes, and we're excited about Kim. So actually, Kim is from out of the California area, Orange County, right, Kim?
Just outside of Orange County. I'm closer to San Bernardino.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah. About an hour.
Just connects it with California. And then Lisa and I are all the way from Valparaiso, Indiana.
Yes.
That's the Hoosier state. That's right. We're the Hoosiers. So we're excited. And Kim, we're very excited about having you. I like to just say that this young lady is a very gifted, talented young lady. She's, a lot of you might know her out there if you were any part of AMTC, Acting Models and Talent for Christ. Or also, you've been in the field a lot. I know you've helped with the one star, I can't remember her now. I remember talking to you a long time ago about how you would go in and kind of set things up for some star. I know you live in the California area, so everybody's kind of
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Who is that you're talking about?
That's all right. But the key is everybody wants to be a star, don't you think, Kim? We all just want to be noticed and appreciated for our gifts. And
yeah. I feel like we all want to be known. We all want to be seen. And I think it's hardwired in us.
There you go.
We're hungry to be seen and known. And I think that it's by our Creator. It all boils down to being seen and known by Jesus. And if you're not aware that you are known on a deep, intimate level, and that He sees you and that He created you on purpose, then you're going to seek it elsewhere. And some people are hardwired, right, to be
I think I'm hardwired
in the limelight. Definitely.
It's like
you're definitely hardwired for that.
Right. When you have children, you always have that one child. If you have more than one, it wants to stick out and say, I'm here. Notice me. And there's just different gifts. And those people, I like the way you say about being what did you say?
Hardwired.
I was not just wired, but there's some of us out there. Also, everybody wants to be a voice today. Isn't it true? God's given us a voice. He's given us power within. And that's why we all feel special. I don't know about you, but I think we all feel that way. When we go to God, we say, I'm your special child. I mean, you notice me, you know me. And today I've asked that Kim would come on and share what's on her heart, what she would have to say to you and encourage you out there that there can be those Glad Town testimonies, those moments that God can do the impossible and He can definitely turn every situation. So Kim, what would you like to share with these people today?
There's so many testimonies that I could talk about, and I don't know if you have anything specific that you have anticipated, but the one thing that sticks out to me as the most pivotal moment in my life was, when I transitioned from being raised as a Christian or in a religion to hearing the voice of God and knowing that it was personal.
That's good.
And
relationship.
It kind of a relationship, like He's real, he's legit, He's right here with us. Yes.
Right.
And it kind of connects with what we're talking about, because it's really easy for us that have a relationship with Him to say, well, He knows me and He sees me and it's personal and this is what He has to say about me.
Right.
But I feel like we can say that, but until somebody is actually connected with the Creator of the universe and is hearing His voice on a personal level, that doesn't go visceral. It just kind of sticks on top. It sits on top of your, just in your head. It doesn't dive into your heart, and knowing just how much he loves us. I don't know that we ever fully grasp the depths of that.
Oh, no.
That comes with the relationship, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
and that relationship takes time. But I suppose my testimony, the biggest testimony that I would have would be, I was raised Christian. I'll try and make this quick and not make it too long of a timeline. I was raised Christian, but had a rough childhood, like a lot of other people.
Yes.
And I was in a church. My mom had met a man that was very good at luring in a single woman with children, and it kind of got to be a crazy abusive situation. And we were going to church at the same time, and the church was all about keeping the marriage together. Of course, they didn't know the depths of what was going on at home.
Behind the doors, home. Yeah.
Exactly. And my
Right.
mom finally had the wherewithal and the courage to get away from that, to escape from that situation. But fast forward to like my teenage and young adult years, I ended up marrying my high school sweetheart right out of high school. We got pregnant right away. We got pregnant, then we got married. And I just had this bitter taste in my mouth about God and what I was taught. Like none of it.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense to me.
Right.
Yeah. And so my husband was Mormon. My best friend was Jehovah's Witness, and my mom had turned her back on. Now she's come back around. I need to add that in. I don't want to forget that part. She's a Jesus-loving, God-fearing woman. But she had walked away. She had walked away as well. And so I just kind of was like, I'm done with this. I don't know what to believe. I don't want to have anything to do with this God. It all equals something negative, and I just want to be free. And so here I am, a young mom, married, and miserable. I'm on antidepressants and
Nothing
hopeless.
And you, right?
No, I was just, I wasn't suicidal by any means, but I would have been okay if I got hit by a bus. Like, I was just, sorry if that's too dark, but that's
no, it happens.
That's most people. Yeah.
And
you're just telling it. This is the real deal.
This is me. I was a smoker at the time, and I didn't smoke in the house because I knew not to smoke with my kids in the house. I thought it's better if I went outside. So I would sit outside, and that was kind of like my quiet time. And I would be sitting outside in my backyard smoking, and in desperation, I remember one night calling out to God and saying, I was just desperate. I was at the end of my rope, and the world was a grim place. And I just remember saying, God,
sorry.
If you're real.
If you're real, yes.
I want to know you. But I have some stipulations. One, I need to hear your voice directly. I don't want to hear it from some pastor or some person who, thinks they're better than all the rest of us, because that was my take.
Well, that was
I need to hear your voice. Yeah, that was my take. At that moment, that was my take. I want it personally. I need you to speak my language. You know my language. I need to know if this book that people declare is yours is real. And I need you to make me interested in it, because it's boring and it's scary. And
you're just telling it like it is, right?
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
That's the way I feel.
Good.
And I sat there and I heard the Lord. It wasn't audible, but it was like an extra sense. We can smell, we can see, we can hear. It was a different sense. It was like that visceral sense. And he said, I was like, I just want to know the truth. And he was like, all right, are you ready? And I was like, whoa, what was that?
That's different.
And he said, do you trust me? He said, do you trust me? And I said, no. And he said, okay, that's a start. And I did that for a year. I didn't trust him. I didn't know what that was. And then I would step out of I'd be done, and I'd have to go in and tend to kids and take care of my duties. And the moment was so real in the moment, but then when I would step away, I would question if it was legit. But I'll tell you what, I went right back there every time I went to have a cigarette. And by the end of that year, I was able to tell him when he said, okay, do you trust me? Because it was ongoing. Do you trust me? Do you try? And I'd be like, no.
Thank
And by the
you
end of
for
the year,
telling people that it took time.
Yeah.
it does.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Sometimes it's not.
And by the end of the year, yeah, I was able to say, I think I'm starting to. And he said, okay, let's go. And we just went on from there. And so now I'm just a Jesus freak. I have a difficult time engaging with other people and not talking about my daddy, our King, our Creator.
That's awesome.
Well, you know, when you were saying that, it's interesting because we all have a different way that we come into the kingdom of God. And I remember as a young girl, I was searching, and I went to church, and I've told this before, with my little brother, where it was 7 months apart, 9 months apart, no, 14 months apart. So we were like Irish twins, they called us. And we saw God, we got baptized. My Sunday school teacher, I felt she had revelation, she was in her 80s, my Sunday school teacher. But you know what? I loved it. I loved the Kool-Aid. I loved the cookies. I loved the Sunday school. But you know, it kept my life just straight. But did it change everybody else around me immediately? No, people made fun of me. My husband called me a Jesus freak. It's funny that you say that, because all people who love Jesus, that back in, especially in the early 70s, they just called you Jesus freaks. But I understand my girlfriend, when she was born again, but she had been on drugs for so long, and she was searching, studying the Bible, and being a pothead at the same time. But she would witness to everybody, until God gave her the true revelation, until the addiction left. But she was one of the greatest witnesses out there. So you cannot always judge people like, no, they don't know God at all. Oh yeah, they got addictions. They're walking through them. And sometimes it's the other is religious, but a relationship with God makes you feel really different. You don't feel that beat up, condemned, dirty feel. You don't feel guilty. And so many people feel guilty. Right? I mean, especially if go on.
I just love the way that he meets us where we are, and it dissolves the guilt, it dissipates the guilt. Like, you realize I bring nothing to the table, and you love me anyways. And
I love that
he meets us where we are, even your friend.
Yes, and it was so beautiful. And I love the phrase, you said it more than once. Everybody wants to be seen. Somebody is always saying, "Look at me, see me." It's just proven. People want to be seen, right, Lisa?
Right.
I know you. I mean, you've gone through some of the same things, but as a young girl, especially because you were a girl also, and had the most beautiful, talented daughter, but you decided, you can tell that you just didn't feel to marry the guy that.
It's it's not easy, and I always encourage young women to you need to seek God on who you're going to spend the rest of your life with.
She just
especially if you are a mom and you already have kids, because you're bringing that man into your children's lives, and that's the rest of their destiny in your hands too, because you're putting them in this position. For me, it was just, and it's not that there wasn't love for each other there. It was, I was so in love with God, and I didn't want anything that wasn't his plan for me. And so that was a really hard time for me.
For being brave.
Well, it was hard. It took a while. It wasn't like I was like, sure, okay, I'll walk this path. It was like, well, Lord, please don't take this. Can't you turn things around? And
because that was a lonely path, I'm sure.
It was. And it was like, I don't know if you've ever seen it. There's like this cartoon meme that's on Facebook that it's this
I'm not about meme. I don't even know what meme means.
Well, it's a drawing. This is basically a drawing, but it has a little girl who's holding a teddy bear. That's, a small teddy bear in her hand. And Jesus is asking for the bear, right? And she's like, but Lord, I love it. It's my favorite thing. It's all I have. Not realizing that he had one, but it was bigger and it was better. And so that's how I had to look at it, that what God had for me was better than what I could see in the moment. And I thought, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm in love. I don't want to let go. But, God had different plans for him, and he had different plans for me. And we don't always see that picture when you're in the moment. And it's hard because it is a lonely road. I mean, it was pretty rough. I lost a lot of friends. I lost people who were like family because, we were all attached because we had a child. And
well, you never look at that as like, wow, just because you're carrying a baby, you never look like I'm going to lose people in it. Because here you're presenting, you're going to be having a child, which is life itself.
Yeah.
And why they want to walk away from life. I mean, that's what it's all about. But I appreciate you, Lisa, and she's a great voice out there, Kim, for people, because she's funny. She could be on any stage. She's great. And that's why I enjoy her. When I'm out, we laugh a lot. So she's a little sassy.
That's fun.
Yes, she knows how to bring that on. And but this is good today, because what we all want to say to the listening audience is, this is your moment. This today is your destiny. I mean, what God wants to do in your life, and I love it. I've signed this Your Dream Counts for years. I've had Dream Chick Your Dream Counts conferences. It is alive in me, because when God gave us that, He said everyone has a God-given dream. We just need to wake it up. And there's everybody, we need to wake them up, and so that they don't lie dormant any longer.
Right.
And you know what that would be like, Kim. I know you're encouraging a lot of people who have talent that don't feel like they're capable or as good or whatever. But what I've learned in life, everybody even likes something organic, just a pure talent and not too many gadgets added to it. People like the raw sound. People like the grit in the throat. They're looking for an individual, not a copycat,
This is true. You know what people are hungry for is connection.
Absolutely.
And in order to truly connect, you almost have to take your heart out, your naked heart out, and put it on a platter. You have to be real, and that sounds terrifying. We have so many guards up in this crazy world, and in order, you want to be loved. We're designed to be seen and loved,
right?
And so it's important that when you're feeding yourself with enough life and truth that you get from the Word and from spending time with the Lord, then you're able to let some of those guards down and put your heart on a platter for people to see. So regardless of the talent, the raspy throat, maybe the funny lips that you have, or the things that you would call quirks or downsides to your gifts or talent, they work for you as long as you'll take that heart out and put it on a platter for people to see. Because then when you are using your talent, it's what fills you up. It's what sets apart just a really good actress from an Oscar winning actress.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Or a Grammy winning singer.
Right.
And people, the audience isn't aware that this connection is happening for the most part on the conscious level. It's a subconscious thing, but it moves them to their core when somebody's able to do this. And it's something that God designed on purpose. And it's just breaking down those barriers. I feel like I went off on a trail, and I do have a point.
You didn't.
But it's just breaking down those barriers to be courageous and reveal your insides, because that's what God created. That God created those insides.
I know that you're getting me excited. What you're saying, and I can see it with the heart, but not only that, the people who make it get to a stage and they just put themselves out there. So what they've done, literally, they just throw themselves out there, and they're saying, I'm going for the gold. And that's what, when I started a Glad Town, and I'm thinking, in the natural, my brains were being beat out. I'm just honest. It's like, what? And who wants to hear about Glad Town? It could sound so quirky, whatever. But you know what? Just trusting that voice, trusting that just to throw yourself out there. And you know what? It's been a delight now. And I have people connecting but it took courage. In the word says,
Yeah.
"Be strong and courageous. Do not tremble or be dismayed, for
Right.
God is with you." And that's what I trusted. But in fact, the first day it actually started, Kim, this is funny. I Zoomed a person in on the day that God dealt with me again about Gladtown. I just thought, we're going to start. The staff was here. We just started. I Zoomed in somebody. It was, oh, I know who it was. It was, oh my gosh, the girl from,
Angie.
that's who
Tangi.
it was. It was Tangi.
Tangi Lockman?
Tangi.
Oh, Brewer.
I love Tangi.
I know, I do too. Hi, Tangi out there. And so I said, Tangi, I know you're bold, you're brave. I said, come on with me. She goes, absolutely. So that's how we
So
started.
cool.
That's how much thought went into it. Boom. I was
love
doing
it.
my hair.
I love it.
Extra lips on. Talk about lips. I'm trying to build my lip, you know, make a bigger lip. But I thought, no, one day I thought, no, I'll just stick with the lips I got. This is me.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Right.
This is my face and stuff. But anyway, that's how it started. So anything can start that fast. And then God gave me a word several years ago through my husband. And God said, own your stage. This is plain. And so I took that and hashtagged it forever, own your stage, because we're constantly on a stage everywhere we go. And will people remember our last act of kindness, or will we be the next biggest flop? You know,
Right.
will we be award winning, or will we be somebody that just turned people off? So I took that as a part of my whole life. Is I want to, whether it's a waitress or whatever. Yes, I can at times say, please go back and refry my bacon. I mean, I can't eat slimy bacon. I just can't do it. I tell people that I can't. It has to be very crisp. I mean, I have to hear the crunch, or I can't eat it. And but you can be a witness. And so I think this is what God's doing. He just wants people to know that there is the impossibility within them because of God, and that He can make any platform come available. He can explode anything. He can make anything go viral. And because He just loves people. He loves Kim, He loves Lisa, He loves me, He loves you. And so today we're going to share a couple of those testimonies, and then we can also add, and Kim and I can also say something about your testimonies, Lisa. So
sure. I have some really great ones.
Oh, I know, I heard the one. I'm going to get excited. We have to really search for these things.
Yeah, let me open it up here. Okay, so one of them we kind of talked about earlier was this young man who, and you may have seen it on the news because he actually, they talked about it last night. I'm sorry?
Is he only 14?
He's 18.
Oh, 18, okay.
His name, I believe his name is Tony.
Hey, Tony out there.
Yes, and he's from New York. And, you know, after some of the looting and stuff had happened, he went out of I think they said it was about 2 a.m. That's what one of the news things said. And just started cleaning up the businesses for the people that were going to be coming
by
in
himself,
the next day.
Right?
By himself.
This was by himself.
Just taking the initiative, saying, hey, I just want to do something. Not just like talking about it, but saying, I want to do it. So
just himself.
Yeah, someone found out about it and was just wanted to bless him because he was so willing to help these business owners. I mean, he didn't have an attachment to them. He just wanted to help them out, do something to take off the heaviness of seeing their stores trashed, you know, and ended up blessing him with a 2004 red Mustang.
First he gets a Mustang.
Yes. And so then the kindness kind of begins to snowball. And someone else finds out about it, and another insurance company, blessed him with a year of free car insurance.
Insurance?
And then a college offered him, I believe it was a full scholarship.
Full scholarship.
So all of these things began to unfold, and I'm watching the news. And
I'm going to go out and clean a building myself.
Right. So, but the awesome part where I was like, this is how God works. When you sow and he begins to bless
But that was
you.
a God moment.
It was a God moment. And it turns out that he ended up sharing that his mom had, recently passed. I don't know how long ago it was, but that she always drove a red Mustang. And so for him to get that specific car given to him
That was a God thing.
was a God thing.
God
Definitely
all over
blessed his heart to receive a gift that only God knew about.
it.
So I thought
I
that was
think
really
those,
great.
I call those,
Isn't that a good story? What would you say to that, Kim?
I call like those little details, like the red Mustang.
The
I
red
call those
Mustang.
little moments fingerprints.
College
Like
education.
those are a seal saying
That's a
this
seal,
wasn't
yeah.
by accident. This is a seal that was planned. This is my gift to you.
Wow.
I love it. That's so cool. He's only, did you say he was 14?
He's 18.
18.
Oh, okay.
I thought he was 14.
Okay.
But still, 4 years later. What the
so
heck?
rad.
But I mean, you
So
can
cool.
see God in everything, and that's what's happening. I mean, when you start seeing it, and then just snowball, and then they get something else, then they get something else, and even like with some of these, this one particular business that was looted and lost everything. Somebody started a GoFund page for them, and he got like, I think $1 million, right?
That's awesome.
Wow.
I mean, God's people are out there. People are out there, good people. And you're going to see some real turnaround. So what was the other one? I know there was
there was another one that was posted on Facebook. And this is a particular girl that she was having a baby, and her and her husband, she had a sonogram, and it didn't get some good news. Basically, the baby, I don't think, was developing on time with how far along she was. The heartbeat was very slow. And so, hearing good news, she, all they could do would really just pray. And at first you think, well, Lord, she said she was begging for the life of her child.
Oh, yes.
And then, as you go through all these emotions and hormones and you hear this news, you think, okay, Lord, well, your will be done. Whatever you planned for this child, I'm grateful that I'm this far. And then she went back, I think it was maybe within the end of that week.
Yes.
And to see the doctor, had another sonogram. This time they found out that the baby was actually only 3 days behind and not further along in growth. And the heartbeat was normal, and there were no more signs of problems. So God had answered her prayer, and now doesn't even need to see the doctor again for 6 weeks. Like, she's great. Wow. So now they can celebrate the gift that God had given them. But, the fact that they just trusted God and said, Lord, we're going to trust you regardless of what we're seeing. And the Lord, let this baby is living and healthy.
I love it.
Great. Yes.
That's another one. I know you've heard a lot of testimonies. I'm sure people getting touched and healed, and people giving up all the time on God, and boom, he comes in. So anything to say to that, Kim?
About people just this miracles last. Yeah. There are I have so many things to say about
That's what I mean. It gets hard, doesn't it?
It does. I can tell you that some people that I've been talking to that have been just literally turned off by the Lord. Don't want to hear it, Kim. I love you, but I don't want to hear it. Are now reaching out for explanation. What did you say?
Distance yourself socially from me, right?
No. Yeah, but that was before the COVID.
Oh, that was before COVID.
yeah, Kim, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. So I have to stifle my tongue. Are now reaching out and saying, hey, I need you to explain this to me. Hey, what would God have to say about this? Hey,
very good.
Just I see a lot of hearts shift. And then I know of miracles. I know you had John Montez on your show, on a Sunday show. He's so awesome. A few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, and I know his sister was diagnosed terminal with cancer, and is completely healed and has had children. I think she was told she wasn't allowed
she was
able to have children or anything.
Yeah, 4-stage cancer. Yeah, that was a big one.
So I know I'm going to think of
that's all right.
More later.
It just stirs it up. We're just stirring each other up. She's got another one. She'll bring another one for you.
Okay.
I have another one. Yes, there was I saw a post of a police officer, female police officer, who actually had shared a story of a gentleman she met 14 years ago. He was homeless and digging through a garbage at this particular place they pulled over to, her and her partner. And she asked him, you know, what could really possess a person to get to that position in life that you would be digging through the trash for. He was looking for recyclables to get some change. And he began to share his life with her, that, you know, he had lost his wife suddenly, and it put him into a downward spiral. And he ended up trying heroin for the first time and it was immediately addicted. And because of him, you know, having this addiction, he ended up losing his job and his family, and, you know, everything was taken from him because this addiction was killing him. So instead of her judging him, you know, she just loved him. She began to see him all the time, would purposely, you know, make time to go up there when she would be with her partner driving in this particular area, check on him. She had bought him like a jacket and shoes once so that he wouldn't freeze. And at one point gave him $7 to be able to get his license, you know, ID made, as long as he promised not to buy drugs with it. Well, after some time, she didn't see him anymore, and it had been, you know, I don't know if it was months or whatever went by, and she said just recently God allowed their paths to reconnect, and she was at a store or something, and he walked up to her with like tears in his eyes asking, do you remember me? And it took her a minute, and then she recognized him, and it was that gentleman that was addicted to heroin. And he began to share with her how he kept his promise to change his life around, and how God had saved him, and he got a wife again, and he got a job again, and everything that he had lost he had gotten back, but he found that grace in the arms of Jesus. And this police officer was a believer, and she didn't share that till the end, but she was sharing that he thanked her because he didn't forget her act of kindness, and how she, you know, bought him a coat and jacket, and how she loved on him where he was, just like you said, like Jesus meets you where you are. And so now his life is forever changed. And she said they just hugged and they cried together. And I just thought that was so wonderful that, you know, one person's life was affected by her just being kind.
I think it's beautiful. You know, the key is we all have been given eyes, and thank God that we can see. And if we could just see what God wants to do for each individual out there. I mean, when you run into people, just know that. And when you get that small prompting, like go buy their dinner, or tell them that it's going to be okay, or can I pray for you? Don't be afraid. Put yourself out there. Just like what you would have needed. I remember what I needed years ago. I was like begging, like, God, send somebody in my pathway. And it's amazing what God can do. And so I think we really have declared some things today. Is there anything you want to say, Kim? We're going to be ending the program, of what you could have been inspired about, or any last comments?
Oh, there was something that you said. What was your hashtag that you used for a while?
Oh, own your own stage.
Own your own stage. Like, I think that ties all this up, because sometimes we might be prompted to reach out, and you know, it might be uncomfortable, but sometimes just owning your own stage, just being who you are, you don't even realize that you're touching a life. You don't even realizing it. Just being willing to be present and available without promptings.
There you
just
go.
By being mindful of owning your own stage, you could be touching lives and being used by the hands of God, for sure.
Yeah, it's like the first time I met you. How many years? That's been probably 7 years.
Yeah.
I believe it was up in Minnesota, right?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. I think it was, but I don't remember. I remember Hell's Kitchen and Angel's Bakery. Somewhere,
I remember
wherever that was at. They were next door to each other. But I remember the relationship immediately that we all had, and the same dream that we had for each other. And there were no barriers. Don't you think we just relaxed with each other? And Jana was there. Was it Jana? And
it was Jana. I love her.
Married now. Hi, Jana. If you get to see the program, we love you. But it was so sweet, and with faith. And I remember the prayer meetings we had in the little hotel room, and it was special. It was special. And I think that we all impact others' lives when we do meet each other. You know, I've heard this many years ago, and I have found it to be true, that we're really only 6 people apart from the other side of the world. So always just know that, and always have your eyes open, your ears open to people, because it can be your greatest connection ever.
Right.
You know, everything can be one. That's my dog. You see him, my
He agrees. He's saying amen.
Yes, that's
amen.
all right. Amen. Well, we love you. Thank you for coming on today. God is faithful. God is good. I love you, Kim. You did amazing.
I love you. It was nice meeting you, Lisa. Thank you
Nice
guys for
meeting
having
you
me.
too.
There you go. And God bless you all. Bye-bye.
You too.
See you again
Bye.
in Town.
Love you.
Bye-bye.